So today I'm going to be doing a little demonstration on how to draw mouth, teeth, and how to shade both of them. So first I'm using my pencil as a guide to measure the angle of the mouth. I'm transferring that angle onto my drawing paper so that I can measure the correct angle and have my mouth drawn more correctly. I'll do the same on the other side. So again, I'm just using my pencil as a guide to match the angle of the lower lip, and then I am dragging that angle over to my drawing paper and drawing exactly what I see. Next, what I'm doing here is I'm finding the negative shape of the space between the bottom lip and the rest of the box on my grid. So I saw a little triangle shape on my photo. I'm drawing that same negative shape right below the lip so I know how far the lip comes down into that box. So now I'm starting to lay in the upper lip. So I'm just finding the curvature of the Cupid's bow, which is that little dip in between the 2 points on the upper lip. Then I'm coming back down to find the top of the bottom lip. Notice how I'm using really loose, sketchy lines to create a nice flow between my angles and connections. Then I'll go back in and clean up some of my lines later. So now I'm going to start to lay in the teeth. So first I'm just going to start off by blocking in a larger shape for the teeth as a group, and then I will go in and refine that to draw each individual tooth. So I'm just finding my basic shapes first, paying attention to the space between the top teeth and the bottom teeth, and also figuring out where the 2 center teeth start and making sure that that lines up with the bottom tip of the nose. So I'm really paying attention to my grid and where on my grid each tooth lies. So I'm just adding some light shading just so that I can differentiate between the shadows in the mouth and where the teeth are, just so that I know for later so I don't get confused with the different lines and shapes that I'm putting in. So now I'm going to begin putting in the 2 front teeth, and then I'll start building outward from there. So I'm just going to lightly sketch in the rounded shape of each tooth while looking specifically at the shape of each gum in between and the shape of the points that come down. So I drew a line down from the nose so I could find where the center of the mouth starts. I noticed that I drew my tooth a little too far to the left. I'm just checking that angle again and making sure that I have my teeth placed correctly. The photo is a little bit on a tilt, as you might be able to see, so I'm accounting for that by measuring the angle with my pencil and redrawing to make sure that the center of the teeth line up with the tip of the nose. So I'm realizing that my teeth still look a little bit off, so I'm going back into erase and redraw. This may happen to you, especially because teeth are one of the most difficult things to draw in my personal opinion. And because you're accounting for each tooth and you want to make sure that your mouth is symmetrical, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge when you're first lying in those first middle teeth, but eventually, through trial and error, you'll get the hang of it. So I'm pretty happy with where those first 2 middle teeth are lying now. So now I'm going to move on to the rest of the mouth. Again, I'm finding those smaller triangle shapes between each tooth where the top of the gums come over each tooth. And then I am looking at the rounded edges and making sure that my teeth fit into the little guide I drew for myself for the group of teeth, to make sure that the teeth are receding into the back and following that same angle. So now that I've laid in my top teeth, I'm just cleaning up some of my lines with my eraser, darkening other lines. When you find where each tooth is, you don't want the lines between each tooth to be super dark and super clear, just because generally we see teeth more as a group and we don't look at every single individual tooth. So I'm just going with my eraser to pick up some of my graphite to make my teeth look more like a group. So now I'm just going in and doing the same thing with the bottom teeth. Again, making sure I'm following the angles of the guide that I put in for myself, paying attention to the small triangle shapes between each tooth, adding a little bit of value to show where those gums are. And then once I finish laying in each tooth, I'll go back in and clean up those lines once more. So now I'm beginning to add a little bit of value into the gums on the top teeth, and then I will continue forth with my value into the mouth and eventually onto the lips. So notice how I'm not only shading from side to side, but I'm also using a little cross contour to show the rounded plane of the mouth. So those curved lines you're seeing me pull over my cross hatching, it's a little cross contour, again to just show the roundedness of the lip. So now I'm using this blender or smudger stick to go in and just soften some of my values and shading and add a nice smooth tone to it. If you don't have a blender or smudger stick at home, you can get a similar effect using a tissue or a cotton swab. So now I'm just using the point on my eraser to go back in and pull out some highlights that I'm seeing on the lip. If you don't have a small eraser, what you can do is cut off the corner of a handheld eraser so you can get a nice, clean, sharp edge or a point, or you can use the eraser from a number 2 pencil and just hold it on its edge to get more of a sharper edge to your eraser. So for the sake of this demonstration, I'm just doing half of the mouth. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but as you can see, my mouth is really starting to come to life, and you see all of my teeth in there. Thank you for watching. I hope that this was helpful.